This is a 2025 Volvo EX90. And as we all know, Volvo is from Sweden. And what you might not know is that I'm born and raised in Sweden. I actually worked at the Volvo factory in Torslanda, outside of Gothenburg, Sweden, for 6 years between 2006 and 2012. I also have about 900-ish videos on my YouTube channel. At least half of them are car reviews. But this is the first Volvo I'm ever filming on my channel. So in today's video, we're gonna review the 2025 EX90 that many are saying might be the best Volvo ever made. So let's find out. Now, I'm able to film this video thanks to Bobby Rahal, Volvo of South Hills. They've lent me their first EX90 for the whole day so we can do a proper review. Now, I'm excited to do this. Like I mentioned, this is the first Volvo I'm ever filming, and the EX90 is not replacing the XC90, which is Volvo's flagship. That is still around, but this is their first full-size SUV that is fully EV. So if we start with the front end of the EX90, typical, I would say, EV front end, because there's no engine under the hood, so there's no grille up front either. There is, however, a hood which you pop like a regular hood, and then you have a frunk that is surprisingly small. You do have room for some storage, and then you have just your windshield washer fluid reservoir right there. Now, underneath here, you do have what looks like a radiator there, but this is some kind of cooling system for the batteries. So these are shutters that open and close on their own here. You can tell it's making some noise. Now we have the classic, nowadays classic Volvo style headlights. It's called Thor's hammer, and when you first walk up to the vehicle, it greets you by just starting to blink, and then it kind of opens up and the headlights are underneath or inside Thor's hammer. Now the EX90 is slightly longer than an XC90, but it is slightly lower than an XC90. I would say it's a pretty good looking profile it has. We're sitting on 22-inch wheels. So we have two 65/40 22-inch diameter tires up front. They are two 95/35 profile tires in the rear. So that's kind of interesting how the profile gets lower for the rear tires when it's 40 up front. Now I have to say the design of the wheels look typical EV as well. So they look like they're supposed to be very drag coefficient, as this is a full EV. Now as we walk around to the rear end, nice design on the taillights. They continue up here on the tailgate. Very clean look here. There's like no handle, there's no buttons really. We just have a backup camera there and the Volvo badging, of course. This is a twin performance as well. Now if you want to open this tailgate, there's a button hidden underneath right there. It also has the kicking motion. We're going to talk more about the interior and the room here in just a minute. So currently you can get an EX90 in two versions. This one is the twin motor performance electric ultra, and that's 510 horsepower and 671 pound-feet of torque. You can get a version with less power that has right over 400 horsepower, but this thing is pretty freaking quick. It's no Model X Plaid, but it definitely has up and go. It weighs around 2.8 tons. Like most EVs that are very heavy because of the battery packs. By the way, there's a battery pack on that axle and there's a battery pack on the rear axle as well. So with the EX90 being an EV, obviously we don't have a fuel door here. This is where you actually charge it. And we're gonna go back here again, pop the tailgate, because the charging cord is right here. But the EX90, as we can see, is a third row SUV, and the third row is currently up. Usually in these SUVs, you don't really have all that much room in the back when the third row is up, but you can easily fold that down. I don't hardly even touch that. And you have way more room. I have some camera equipment sitting right there, but with both of these seats down, you have plenty of room back here. Now this is a really cool feature that I've never seen in any other car. You can push this button and the air suspension will lower. See that? it lowers the whole rear end, so it's easier to get stuff into the back. But what I want to know is, what is the leg and headroom like in the third row for someone like me that is 6'2"? Let's find out. By the way, before we jump in, kind of like a Tesla, the Volvo EX90 does not get a regular key. You get a credit card size little card, and this serves as your key. So to lock it, right there, and then to unlock it, and the door handles pop up like that. So we'll start with the back of the EX90 here. So we'll jump in. These seats are absolutely amazing. Probably one of the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in. However, I haven't sat back here, but the driver's side is. Plenty of, wow, enormous amounts of headroom back here. That is really impressive. Knee room is, I mean, it's okay. This is my driving position, and I'd be fine sitting back here, but it's not the best knee room I've ever experienced. However, this, yeah, it goes back and forward. It's all the way back now. And check out this fixed panoramic roof. It's probably one of the biggest ones I've seen. It's very nice, naturally tinted, so when it's really sunny and bright out, it doesn't get hot in here or too bright in here. But back here we have climate controls for the passengers, and then it looks like we have a little tray here, but you pull that down, you got cup holders. This one, as we can see, is equipped with the captain's chair, so you have a little aisle you can walk through here. Goes without saying, you can get a full bench as well, so you have an extra seat. But let's jump back to the third row and see how we're sitting back there. Yeah, definitely a little tighter back here. Not much headroom for someone my height. Not a lot of knee room either. I would definitely have to ask the person in front of me to scoot the seat up. This is mainly for kids back here, for sure. Not adults. I do like this little light button we have back here, though. That's nice. But all right, let's jump into the driver's position here. And just the interior of the EX90 is just very Swedish, or Scandinavian I should say, but mainly Swedish. It is minimalistic, and it's clean. But let's start here in the door. This wood grain is sourced from Sweden. And then we have a very nice, what feels like leather, but it is not. So you can get two types of seat interiors in the EX90. This is what looks like the leather option, but it's not. It's called Nordico. And this is recycled polyester and cork. I know, sounds interesting. This is obviously done to be more environmentally friendly, which is also very typical Swedish. So you can get leather-like interior, but it's not leather. It is recycled polyester and cork. Now you can also get a wool interior, and that wool interior is sourced from Australian sheep farmers. Anyway, moving on here, we have speakers here in the headrest. And when you hear chimes, when you're backing up and so on, you hear them here. So they're right in your ear. And then we have a Bowers & Wilkins sound system, which is absolutely phenomenal in this car. It's 25 speakers, 1600 watts. We'll go over that a little more here in just a minute. You can't really demonstrate it well in YouTube videos because you get demonetized, and yeah, it just doesn't do justice. Now, I'm biased here, but my favorite part of the interior is the Swedish flag. I think that is such a cool touch. I absolutely love it. Again, I'm a little biased, but you gotta admit, that's cool. I mean, you gotta admit. But yeah, there's not much to go over here interior wise. We have one button, and that is a volume button for the stereo. There's a play and pause feature on there as well. Now you have wireless charging slot right there. However, you can't put your phone on there right away when you jump in the car because you have to put the key there. And that's kind of how you can start driving. Now, once you've done that, you can remove the key and then put your phone on for charging. We also have two cup holders here. They're a little smaller cup holders because you know, Swedes don't drink like big gulps and stuff. We don't have like 40-ounce drinks and all that. At McDonald's, our large version of the drink is like the small one over here. There's an open type of design here where you have room for more storage. I just keep my wallet there, and then the little key credit card thing, and then you have 2 charging ports here, USB-C, and I guess you could keep more, you know, water bottles, all kinds of stuff back there, because there is only 2 cup holders, and then of course you have your slots here in the door. All right, so that brings us to the steering wheel, and we do have some buttons here, but it's mainly for cruise control and so on the left side, and then we have just changing the track and voice commands and that kind of thing there. This button here changes up the little instrument cluster, which is now kind of in its calm mode, I guess, where you just see the speedometer. Speed limit is definitely not 55 here, so I don't know what that's about, but 180 miles left of range, and the battery life, you click this, get a little navigation screen there. But I do like this. It's a very, very clean look. And then we have turn signals here and windshield wipers right there. And then just like a Mercedes, you have a stalk here for putting the car in drive, reverse, and neutral, and so on. The backup camera on this thing is absolutely phenomenal. Really, really good with 3D. The rear, it is amazing. And that kind of brings us here to the screen, because everything pretty much happens on this screen. And I know a lot of people don't really like that, but it's just kind of where we're going now, especially in EVs for some reason. It has to be a huge screen, and then everything happens on the screen. It's a great system, but yeah, I do agree that, you know, you would like to have some more buttons here and there. Like the lights, for instance. You got to go here, and then you can turn on lights here on the screen, which is, it's going to take some getting used to. I mean, if you want to open the glove box, you do it from the screen, which is it's kind of crazy. But we go here to the home screen, got a big navigation screen, and then just got satellite radio going right now, and then you have some quick options here. Your climate controls are down here, so you can easily access that. Oops, sorry. So very nice looking graphics, I have to say. If we go here, we can access YouTube, Google Maps. You have your range and all that here. You don't really have to go in here to check that because you have it right there, but it'll tell you the minimum, depending on how you're driving, of course, and then the maximum, depending on how you're driving, of course. So even though it's an EV, it kind of acts like a combustion engine as well. So, you know, the more aggressive you drive, the lesser range you have, just like in a car that runs on gas. Volvo says that no matter which engine alternative or the battery, the power of the battery you pick, you should get 370 miles of range. That is obviously their most optimal, best number they're giving. Again, depending on how you drive, that'll change. Depending on the weather, the temperature, and so on, the batteries act differently. If we go down here to cars, this is where you have all your settings and controls and driving, the sound. Check this out. This stereo has an actual equalizer. This is the first car that I'm ever seeing that in. There's a lot of different sound options here. Standard, stage, concert hall. And again, I wish I could, you know, fully demonstrate this, but you can't do it on video. You have to get in one of these and check it out for yourself. So the Volvo EX90 is filled with tech. And one thing that we didn't mention while we were outside is this thing right here. So that is a LiDAR that is set up for full autonomous driving when it is ready. Currently can't fully access it, but the Volvo EX90 has 8 cameras, 16 supersonic sensors, and 5 different radars. So we have a camera there, we have a camera here, a camera there, obviously a camera here, and then the same on the driver's side with the lenses right there. So this system is supposed to be able to spot people that are 250 meters away during autonomous driving, but the system is not ready yet. It is said to be ready during the first half of 2025. But enough talking, let's get to driving. Okay, so we're gonna start the driving portion of the video with this POV shot. And initially I wasn't going to mention this, but I am going to mention it either way because I just know a lot of people are going to notice that all of a sudden the range went way down, and that's because I'm filming this footage a few days later actually, because the camera I filmed these POV shots with was in the wrong setting on the day that I filmed the review. So when I sit down to start editing, this footage was in a time-lapse mode, so everything just flew by real quick and there was no audio. So we're gonna redo this because in my opinion it's the most interesting point of view of driving the EX90, of course. And man, it's quick. It is quick. That instant torque from an EV is very noticeable. And the EX90 is all-wheel drive, but it's front-wheel drive biased, and most of the time when you drive the EX90 it is just using the front wheels, unless you really stomp on it from a standstill or you're going really quickly on the highway. It's only using the front wheels. Now there's a setting that you can do called performance all-wheel drive, so now it's in all-wheel drive the whole time. So for the people that want all-wheel drive all the time, there is a setting for it, but for what this SUV is going to be used for by most of the owners, I don't think it's really going to matter. Most people won't really care that it's front-wheel drive biased. Now another thing that I have been using while driving this is one pedal drive. So now I'm not using the brake pedal, but the car is slowing down because I'm not on the gas pedal. So for anyone that hasn't experienced this yet, it is kind of weird in the beginning, because a lot of people will just let off the gas pedal and kind of like roll at times while driving, but when you do it in this setting, it automatically brakes and slows down the car. So it's meant for you to not have to use your brake pedal when you get used to that setting. It is a little kind of weird to me, so I'm not going to use that anymore. I like using the brake pedal. But other than that, this thing is so comfortable. These seats, as we mentioned earlier, are amazing. Probably one of the best seats I've ever sat in. And if I remember this correctly, I think it was spine doctors that Volvo collaborated with, or if it was chiropractors. I can't remember exactly which medical profession it was, but something that has to do with the back to get these seats as perfect as they are, and they are really, really comfortable. Volvo also claims that this is the most quiet Volvo they've ever made. Now, one thing that we haven't mentioned yet are the window buttons. So there's only two buttons for the driver's side and obviously the passenger side. Now, if you want to do the rear windows, you have to push this button first and then it switches over. I don't really have a problem with it, but apparently that has been a bit of a nuisance for some people. Again, I don't really mind, but it's a different setup, and I haven't experienced that before in any other car. All right, punch it. Whoa, whoa. It's quick, man. Yeah, like I said, can't really demonstrate that in YouTube videos, but this stereo is absolutely phenomenal. It is kind of like a concert hall in here. Just the sound is so crisp. Now I'm gonna take my sunglasses off and I'm gonna deliberately start looking at my phone. Don't worry, I keep my eyes on the road as well. And now for some reason it's not doing that, but it has some kind of system that notices where your attention is. And the car was making all these beeping sounds in the beginning. I'm like, what is this? And that is because I wasn't paying attention, according to the Volvo EX90, which is a little ironic because everything is on the screen. So if you want to do something, anything really, you have to look at the screen, and it's kind of distracting because you're not paying attention on the road. So it is a little ironic that the EX90 kind of, because I looked at my phone for a few seconds, starts beeping and telling me that I'm not paying attention, when the whole setup of the car is kind of designed where you lose attention on the road because you have to do everything from the screen. Now, once you have your settings and all that stuff, I don't think you have to go in there a lot to change things around. And once you get used to this system, it's just a few quick little clicks, and it's not really that attention grabbing, but in the beginning it is. So my advice for anyone that gets a new EX90 is that get to know the screen and everything before you get out and driving, so you don't get distracted and the car starts beeping and yelling at you for being distracted. So what does an EX90 cost? Well, the one that we're in today, stickers at $95,000. If you do a fully loaded one, you are over $100,000. But with that being said, most premium SUVs in the segment, that's what they cost nowadays. Everything has gotten more expensive. Now, does it feel like a $100,000 SUV? Yes, it does. It's just, it has a premium feel. It does. And again, I'm a little biased, but Swedes know how to do premium feel. They do. The minimalistic now, I'm not talking over the top Rolls-Royce Bentley type of premium feel, but in this segment, they handle themselves very, very well. And yeah, it handles pretty well too, man, I gotta say. Big heavy thing that weighs almost 6,000 pounds. It's not bad. But to kind of wrap it up here, it is interesting. And back in the day when I used to work at the Volvo factory outside of Gothenburg, Sweden, the top of the line XC90s, and again, the EX90 is not a replacement for the XC90. The XC90 is still going to be around, and you buy that model with a combustion engine. But anyhow, the top of the line models that we used to build back then, the XC90s that is, they had V8s. And now we're sitting in the most premium Volvo ever, and it's an EV. And that's just the way the world is looking right now. But it is a really, really great SUV. It might be the best Volvo ever made. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, huge thanks to Bobby Rahal, Volvo of South Hills. This is their only one currently, and it is for sale. If you guys are in the market, I'll link all their contact information in the description below. I'll see you guys in the next one.